Hello everyone. Today we're going to talk about getting started with tactical training. Okay. Now the first thing that you're going to need is a place to train. Okay. That's in many cases more difficult than buying the guns and getting the ammo. Finding a place to train, and the other thing is you need somebody to train you. You need a coach. Okay. Even myself. When I train with other people, and I have them coach me because they're going to see things that I'm doing that I can't see. So you need a place to train, and you need somebody to coach you. All right, so those are the first two things. Now let's get into the equipment, okay? And the equipment is by far the easier, cheaper thing to get, okay? Especially now that we got rid of Obama, all this stuff is pretty cheap, okay? What I recommend is you go with a name brand, all right? And I'm trying to keep it economical here. Smith & Wesson and Ruger are your two best, cheapest guns that you can buy. Okay, this here is the Smith & Wesson M&P 15 Sport 1. Okay, the Sport 1 version does not have the forward assist. It doesn't have the dust cover. And when I bought this gun, I hadn't noticed that, and for that reason, I did not like this gun so much at that time. And I used this as a beater gun. Okay, which means basically, I would run this gun through the snow, through the mud. Basically, I would shoot this in sub-freezing weather. I'd pour cold water over it. So this gun turned out to be a great gun. I shot over 5,000 rounds of steel case Tula ammo through it, and the gun is still going strong. When I bought it, it was about $700. Okay, this was when I think Obama first got into office. All right, so it was $700 when I bought it. I think you can get it now for about $500. Important to recognize that the price is, it's relative. When Obama was at the height of gun banning, this was a $2,000 gun. Okay, so important to recognize that yes, the guns are cheap now, but that's because they're plentiful. If you're in a situation where you cannot get the guns and you cannot get the ammo, these things are worth thousands and thousands of dollars. Okay, so this is the Smith & Wesson. And I have here the Ruger. I don't have the standard Ruger 5.56. I have the Ruger MPR. I bought this gun just recently. This is I think I bought it for $620. I think it had gone up to $640. It's probably gotten back down to $620 now. A great bargain. Okay, it's got a cold hammer forged barrel. It's got I think it's got like a 4-pound trigger pull. It's a great distance shooter. I get my best groups with this gun at distance. That's the reason why I have a variable scope on this, 1 to 8. Okay, so this is also a great gun, and it's only maybe $50 to $100 more than the standard one. Okay, so this is a good place to start. And if your budget can allow it, get yourself a Colt. Okay, you can't go wrong with Colt. It's got a lot of history behind it. It's battle tested. It's a great shooter. So definitely go with the Colt if you got a few extra $100 in your budget. Okay. How about building guns? Should you build or buy? Building is great if you're into your 4th or 5th AR. You need to buy the gun, take it apart, practice putting it back together before you can build a gun. Okay. So your first tactical gun, your first AR should definitely be off the shelf bought. Okay, I would prefer my first AR to be as basic and close to mil spec as possible. And I'll give you an example. This Ruger MPR, it's got that 4-pound trigger pull, which is a little bit lighter than, let's say, the standard trigger on this Colt. Well, here's the thing. Standard ARs are meant to be shooting in all sorts of weather. Because the trigger pull, because this has a standard trigger pull, I can shoot this gun with heavy insulated gloves, and I can still feel that trigger, when I'm squeezing it. Okay, so light trigger pulls are good, all right, on nice, beautiful days like this, but they're not as practical, when the temperatures get below freezing. And if you live in the northern part of the United States, okay. Almost half the year we get freezing temperatures. Okay, so training with winter coats and insulated gloves, that has to be part of your training plan. Okay, because we train through all sorts of weather. Snow, rain, mud, all that stuff. Okay, let's talk about AR pistols. Great novelty. Great for if you're into your fourth or your fifth AR. The cool thing about the novelty of this is basically you're getting a short barrel rifle, okay, and you're getting around the ATF regulations because this doesn't have a standard stock on it. It has the SIG brace. They used to say that you couldn't shoulder it, even though everybody would shoulder it. Now they've changed the rules so that you can shoulder it, okay? And so basically what we have here is a short-barreled rifle without having to go through all that paperwork, okay? So that's the novelty in this. And yes, at some point everybody should have it, but this should not be your first gun. This has a 7.5-inch barrel. Something to keep in mind is that half the barrel length means half the power, okay? So basically the muzzle energy of the AR is usually around 1,300 foot-pounds, okay? That's the energy, 1,300 foot-pounds. So the muzzle energy, as I've measured it out of this barrel, the 7.5-inch barrel, is 650 foot-pounds. So I lose half my power with the shorter barrel. The other thing is because it's a shorter barrel, it is insanely loud, and basically you'll have to put some type of a linear compensator at the front to redirect the blast down range so it doesn't blow out your eardrums, or basically you'd have to shoot it with both earplugs and earmuffs. So by putting the linear compensator on it, it brings it down to normal AR noise. Okay. So let's talk about scopes now. Okay. Red dot, definitely the place to start. Primary Arms is a good place to get a good bargain on a red dot. The SIG Romeos are also great red dots. Right now I'm experimenting with the Adderballs. Okay, I have an Adderball variable scope on this. Okay, now the variable scope, I have this on because this is my best shooter, so I have this set for distance shooting, 1 to 8. And the cool thing about this, it goes down to that 1 power. So at 1 power, basically it functions almost as a red dot, and I say almost. If you are inside a room, okay, you will notice some distortion. Okay, if you try and use this as a red dot. Okay. Also, if you're doing some techniques that we use, like for example, like if you're shooting inside a vehicle, right? Inside a vehicle, you don't have, because of the dashboard, you don't have room to shoulder the rifle, so we have to pull it back over our shoulder, and we can still get that red dot online, right? Get a red dot on target. That's not going to work so well with the 1 power. Okay, if you pull this back here, well, this is already past my head. Past my head. If you put your eye on that, you're going to get scope eye. You're going to get a nice black eye. So for that close quarter combat, it's okay if you're outdoors and you got plenty of some room to work with. But if you're in really tight quarters, I don't think this is a great option. Okay, where I live and train in the forest. Okay, I cannot see past 100 yards in most cases. So for me, the red dot makes a lot more sense. So that's why most of my rifles have red dots on them, and only one has that variable 1 to 8 power. Okay, and like I said, as far as where to start, yeah, Primary Arms and the SIGs are a good value, a good place to start. Okay, you will need a sling. Right, the sling is basically a holster for your rifle, and basically I strap this in front of the receiver and behind the receiver. Sometimes you'll hook up to there. You want to set up so that when you drop your rifle, it hangs off to the side. Okay, from this position, if you need to go hands-free, you can even roll it around your back like that. Now you can do stuff like climb ladders and stuff like that. Climb trees, whatever you want to do. Okay, so this is how this is normally gonna hang, and this is important because a lot of times you'll be doing transition. Get that up. You'll be doing transition drills. Okay, you want to be able to transition back and forth between the pistol and your rifle. That's what drilling purposes. The idea here is that you're shooting your rifle. Your rifle runs dry. You then transition to your pistol to finish the job. When the fight comes to a pause, then you reload your rifle. Okay, so you definitely need a sling for that type of activity because you don't want to throw the rifle on the ground. You can't get to it fast enough if you throw it on the ground. All right, so you definitely need a sling, and you don't have to go crazy expensive. The $15-$20 slings work fine for most of the stuff that I do. This one, actually, this is the one on the Colt, came with it. This one mounts, in front by the front sight and in the back here, and this works fine too. Okay. Okay, so that'll work fine. And then, you know, if you need to transition to your left side, you transition by getting out of the sling like that. Okay, so you will definitely need a sling. Let's see, what else do we need? Okay. Well, very important, we need a 22 version of your AR. Okay, ARs in the 5.56, 223 caliber are very light recoil. So, you know, by training with the 22s, it'll get us close to where we are. Like training with 22s is not great if you're going to be shooting 308s, but if you're going from 22s to 5.56, the 22 is a great training round. And the good thing is that you know, you can shoot 500 rounds of this, and then shoot 100 rounds of your 5.56. You know, towards the end. Okay, so that's you know, you want a 22 version. You'll practice a lot more if you have a 22, an AR chambered in 22. All right. This is the Colt. I think Uramax makes it. They sell it under the Colt name. The nice thing about this is aluminum. All right, aluminum, just like a standard AR, and it has a similar weight. Okay, don't get the plastic ones. Okay, Smith & Wesson makes a plastic version of this with a plastic with a polymer receiver. The gun's a lot lighter, and you know, if you can avoid it. You're better off getting one that has a realistic weight. What else do we need? We need a flashlight. I like a flashlight with a quick attach for our night shooting. Okay. And you know, I like the one that's mounted with the thumb switch. And the cool thing about that is I can move this front or back, and I can attach it, just quickly lock into place. Then I can operate this with the thumb switch. Okay. Now I also like, you know, for night shooting, I tend to run this further back here. The reason is because, you know, in the daytime, you know, guns in the sling, you know, you're patrolling, you see a threat, you lift the gun up, you get on target, right? Or even if you sense something, you're searching around like that, come up on target. At night, all right, you're using the rifle as a flashlight more than anything, okay? So basically, at night, you spend a lot of time, you know, moving the gun around so that you can see, okay? And if you're holding the gun out here, your arm's gonna get tired, okay? Because again, you're doing more searching than shooting. So basically, by bringing my elbow back here, using my thumb here to activate the light switch, okay, I find that I get a lot more mileage like that. So that's why, you know, I like running it back here. But I do like one that, you know, if I want to move it up, I can move it up, okay? You know, get as many lumens as you can afford. One important thing to recognize is that, you know, AR technology is pretty stable. Okay, it's a 40-year-old technology at this point, maybe even 50 years old. You know, light technology, on the other hand, is constantly improving. Okay, so you know, if at the moment, you know, like you know, 500 looms is like the middle, and 1,000 looms is at the high end. You know, a year from now, or 2 years from now, you know, they'll be selling 2,000 looms. Okay, and the 1,000 looms will be probably half the price. So that's an important consideration. You know, light technology is continually improving. Okay, so keep that in mind as you're shopping. Put that down. Other thing I wanted to mention is, like I said earlier, you need a 22 version of your AR. Okay, you also need a 22 version of your handgun. Okay, so that you can do a lot of practice. And I recommend a gun that's either double action or single action, double action. The reason is, you know, the AR is pointed off to the side. Okay, when it's in the sling. Okay, so even if you forget to put your safety on, the gun is pointed away from your foot. In the holster, the handgun's always going to be pointed at your foot. Okay, so I want to, you know, and in the type of stuff that we do, you know, we're not just standing at the range, just doing that kind of stuff. You know, a lot of times when you're holstering, you know, drawing and holstering, you know, you're in an awkward position. You're underneath, you know, you're on the ground, you know, behind a vehicle or behind a tree or in the bushes. You know, so there's all these awkward positions that we shoot. So that's why, for training purposes, I recommend a double action, single action type of gun. And what I find is that, you know, like for example, I think Glocks are great guns, and if I was going into combat, yes, a Glock pistol is what I would take. Although that's not what I train with, you know, because I prefer either a double action trigger, or double action only, or single action, double action. But at the same time, it doesn't take that long. Okay, it would only take me a week or so, or even less, of training with the Glock to be able to get used to that. Okay, so it doesn't take that long to get used to shooting a Glock if you've been training with, you know, Berettas and SIGs and other guns that have the decockers on them. Okay, but anyway, that's my thought on pistols. Have a 22 version that you can do your tactical training with. What else do we need? We need magazines. Okay, have at least 6 magazines for each gun. Of all your equipment, the magazines are the most prone to breaking, okay, because the springs that compress and all that stuff. So start off with 6 and work your way up to 100 plus, okay, because this is going to be the first thing that goes, okay. The other thing that you're going to want to get some backups of is the bolt in your AR, okay. If you run your guns hard, okay, the bolts are eventually going to break, or at least some part of it. So have 1 or 2 backup bolts, okay. Let's see, anything else I want to talk about? I think I covered anything. And I'll just finish off with saying that, you know, tactical shooting is less about shooting and more about, you know, maneuvering and planning and gaining a, you know, a situational advantage, okay. So that's what tactical training is about, and the equipment is to help get us to that point. Why do we use ARs? Okay, because something to keep in mind, you know, it's like, you know, why not use AKs or any of the other guns? AKs are great guns. I do train with AKs as well. Where's this training information coming from? Okay, most of this training information is coming from combat veterans. Okay, we've been fighting a war on terrorism for the last 17 years. There's about 20 million veterans that, you know, have come back to us. Okay, so basically all these guys coming back to us, you know, they've been training and fighting this war with AR-15s. You know, and SIGs and Glocks and those type of guns, you know, 5.56 caliber and 9mm. Okay, that's where all this information is coming from. These are the guns that these guys are proficient with, and that's what you know, what they're training us with. And I don't want to reinvent the wheel. You know, I want to basically learn what they have to teach and basically pass it on. If I was living in Russia, okay, and I was surrounded by you know, AK operators, I mean, yeah, I'd spend more of my time learning how to use AKs, okay? But I'm not in Russia, I'm in the United States, and most of the combat veterans here are proficient with ARs and Glocks and SIGs and so forth. So that's why I want to invest most of my time in training with those type of guns. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.